Imagine a city that started as a tiny Spanish pueblo and grew into the entertainment capital of the world. A place where native tribes thrived, gold seekers rushed in, and Hollywood dreams were born. This is the incredible history of Los Angeles, a story of ambition, reinvention, and the American dream. Stick around, because this journey through time will change how you see LA forever. For centuries, the region that is now Los Angeles was home to 5,000 to 10,000 Tongva, Gabrielino, and Chumash indigenous peoples. They lived in numerous villages, sustained by hunting, fishing, gathering, and trade. The first recorded European contact came in 1542 when Spanish explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo sailed into Santa Monica Bay. Observing smoke from indigenous fires, he named the area Bahía de los Fumos, Bay of Smokes. Nearly 2 centuries later, Spanish authorities, seeking to expand their colonial presence, dispatched Captain Gaspar de Portola to explore California for potential settlements. Under the leadership of Franciscan missionary Junipero Serra, Spain established 21 missions in California, including San Gabriel, 1771, and San Fernando, 1797, near present-day Los Angeles. In 1781, California Governor Felipe de Neve oversaw the founding of El Pueblo de la Reina de Los Angeles, the village of the Queen of the Angels, near the Rio de Porciúncula, where the Tongva village of Yang Na once stood. The settlement, established by 44 settlers from Sonora and Mazatlan, was primarily self-sufficient. However, European diseases devastated the native population. Spain's control ended in 1822 when Mexico gained independence. In 1835, Los Angeles was designated a city, and the secularization of missions led to the distribution of land grants known as ranchos. Despite legal restrictions, American settlers began migrating to the region. During the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848, Southern California witnessed several battles before becoming part of the United States. With California's admission as a state in 1850, Los Angeles officially became an American city. At the time, it was the largest community in California, with a population of approximately 1,500. The early American-era Los Angeles in the mid-19th century was a lawless frontier town known as the Queen of the Cow Counties. Ethnic tensions ran high, particularly in the 1850s, as waves of American and European immigrants replaced Mexican influence in local government. Crime and violence were rampant, with banditry and vigilantism commonplace. The city's economy remained tied to the rancheros until the 1860s when a devastating drought decimated livestock and crops, crippling the region's economic foundation. In 1871, racial tensions erupted in the infamous Chinese massacre, during which a mob killed approximately 20 Chinese residents, earning Los Angeles national infamy. Despite its growing population, Los Angeles faced significant obstacles to urban development. It lacked a natural harbor, railway connections, and an adequate water supply, and its isolation from major trade routes left it economically vulnerable. Novelist Mary Austin described it as an island on the land. Yet, against the odds, Los Angeles transformed from an obscure outpost into a global metropolis. Over the next century, the city overcame its geographical limitations, developing infrastructure, industry, and a cultural identity that would make it one of the most influential urban centers in the world. Inventing a city, Los Angeles's metamorphosis into a world-class metropolis began in the 1870s. The first major step occurred in 1876 when the Southern Pacific Railroad completed a rail link to San Francisco. Around the same time, the city experienced a migration boom, dubbed the Sick Rush, as newcomers sought Los Angeles's mild climate for health benefits. This was the first of many population surges in the city's history. A significant transformation came in 1885 when the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad opened a direct line from Chicago. A fair war ensued, leading to a 2-year land boom. Land agents, capitalizing on the region's natural beauty, aggressively marketed the city. However, the speculative bubble collapsed in 1887, leading to an exodus. To counteract economic instability, a coalition of local business leaders, the Chamber of Commerce and railroads launched promotional campaigns highlighting Southern California's appealing climate, drawing affluent visitors from the East and Midwest, many of whom stayed permanently. The creation of a major harbor was crucial for Los Angeles's economic expansion. Efforts to develop the port at San Pedro faced opposition from Southern Pacific magnate Collis P. Huntington, who favored Santa Monica. However, local political and business leaders successfully lobbied Congress, securing the necessary funding. In 1910, Los Angeles annexed San Pedro, and with the completion of a breakwater and the opening of the Panama Canal in 1914, the city became a key international trading hub. Henry Huntington played a pivotal role in shaping Los Angeles's urban landscape through his Pacific Electric Railway system, constructed between 1901 and 1911. His extensive trolley network, built by Mexican immigrant laborers, spanned more than 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers. The Big Red Cars provided affordable transportation linking downtown Los Angeles with surrounding regions, including the San Fernando Valley, Santa Monica, and as far east as San Bernardino and Redlands. The period between 1890 and 1915 is often regarded as Los Angeles's Golden Age. Urban ecologist Richard Lillard described this era as post-frontier, pre-industry, pre-Hollywood, pre-automobile. Picture postcards from the time, depicting golden fruit growing beneath snow-capped mountains, spread the city's image nationwide, particularly in the northern U.S., attracting new residents and tourists. Despite this progress, the early 20th century saw considerable social and political upheaval. Los Angeles Times publisher Harrison Gray Otis led an anti-union crusade, using inflammatory editorials to rally industrialists. In response, radical unionists launched a bombing campaign, culminating in the 1910 dynamiting of the Times building, which killed 20 employees. The subsequent arrest and confession of two unionists, John and James McNamara, derailed the socialist labor movement and weakened labor influence for decades. Meanwhile, progressive reformers sought to curtail the power of political bosses and the Southern Pacific Railroad. Led by figures like civic-minded physician John Randolph Haynes, Los Angeles voters adopted initiative, referendum, and recall ballot measures. Reformers also campaigned against corruption, forcing the resignation of Mayor Arthur C. Harper in 1909 due to his ties to the railroad and financial scandals. These efforts helped reshape Los Angeles's political landscape, setting the stage for its emergence as a modern city. From the aqueduct to the 1920s, another decisive step toward creating a metropolis was the development of a system to import water from the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada to sustain Los Angeles's growing population. Irish-born, self-trained water engineer William Mulholland designed and oversaw the construction of the Los Angeles Aqueduct, 1904 to 1913. The project required aggressive dealings with Owens Valley landowners, the labor of 4,000 workers, and pioneering new technologies, including the Caterpillar tractor. Using only gravity, the aqueduct transported water through open canals, pipes, and tunnels into the San Fernando Valley. On November 5, 1913, before thousands of spectators, Mulholland famously declared, "There it is, take it." The city's 300,000 residents had secured a water supply capable of supporting millions. At 233 miles, 375 kilometers, long, the aqueduct was the world's longest at the time, a marvel of engineering that shaped the future of Los Angeles. The 1920s and 30s, a city transformed through growth, turmoil, and innovation. As Los Angeles surged forward in the 1920s, its rapid expansion brought both progress and strife. One of the most contentious events of the decade was the water wars between the city and residents of the Owens Valley. Many Valley residents believed their water had been unfairly taken to fuel Los Angeles's growth. Frustrated and enraged, they resorted to dynamiting sections of the aqueduct system, a desperate attempt to reclaim their resources. The dispute intensified in 1928 when the St. Francis Dam, located in northern Los Angeles County, catastrophically failed. A towering wall of water surged through the valley, claiming the lives of hundreds. Chief engineer William Mulholland, the visionary behind the city's water infrastructure, accepted full responsibility for the disaster, marking a tragic chapter in Los Angeles's development. Despite these challenges, the city pressed forward. In the 1930s, the Los Angeles aqueduct was extended northward to Mono Lake, increasing its total length to 338 miles, 544 kilometers. Additionally, Los Angeles expanded its water resources further by importing supplies from the Colorado River and California's Feather River, ensuring the city's continued growth. Historian Carrie McWilliams famously described Los Angeles's evolution as one continuous boom punctuated at intervals by major explosions. By 1920, Southern California's population had surpassed that of Northern California, and over the next decade, the city became the epicenter of one of the largest internal migrations in American history. Hundreds of thousands arrived, many traveling by automobile, in search of new opportunities. This period was marked by an atmosphere of feverish speculation. Oil drilling operations sprang up across the landscape, land development boomed, and the burgeoning aircraft and film industries began to shape the city's identity. The cultural and economic landscape of Los Angeles was dynamic and diverse. The charismatic Pentecostal minister Amy Semple McPherson captivated audiences with her dramatic and theatrical preaching, drawing thousands to her services. Meanwhile, Hollywood lured ambitious young dreamers, hoping to follow in the footsteps of screen icons like Mary Pickford, America's Sweetheart, and Douglas Fairbanks, the swashbuckling daredevil of silent cinema. Yet, beneath this golden facade, social and economic inequalities remained stark. In the 1930s, Los Angeles was a deeply segregated city where housing and public services were divided along racial lines, and job discrimination was widespread. The Great Depression brought profound economic hardship, with unemployment soaring and public assistance resources stretched to the brink. To reduce the burden on social services, public officials initiated mass repatriations of Mexican immigrants, including U.S.-born children, sending thousands back to Mexico, often against their will. Amidst these hardships, Los Angeles managed to push forward with ambitious projects. The city successfully hosted the 1932 Olympic Summer Games, despite the global economic crisis and reduced international participation due to its geographic remoteness. The Games, however, proved a resounding success, offering the city an opportunity to showcase itself to the world. At the same time, political corruption plagued City Hall, leading to mounting public outrage. A recall movement targeted Mayor Frank L. Shaw and his administration due to widespread police misconduct and financial scandals. The campaign ultimately succeeded, and in 1938, reformist candidate Fletcher Boron was elected mayor, ushering in a new era of civic integrity. Los Angeles's economic recovery gained momentum in the late 1930s, driven by the resurgence of the film industry, the harnessing of electrical energy from Hoover Dam, and the city's burgeoning role in military aviation. As World War II loomed on the horizon, aircraft production for Britain and France further revitalized the economy, setting the stage for Los Angeles's transformation into a major industrial powerhouse. World War II and the post-war years. A city in transition. The onset of World War II propelled Los Angeles into a new era of economic and demographic transformation. Southern California emerged as a key manufacturing hub, particularly in the aircraft industry. Factories across the region ramped up production, supplying planes and other military equipment crucial to the war effort. The war years saw a massive influx of workers seeking employment in defense industries, further accelerating the city's expansion. However, the wartime period was also fraught with deep social conflict. Following Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, widespread fear and prejudice against Japanese Americans led to their forced relocation. Thousands of Japanese nationals and Japanese Americans living in Los Angeles were rounded up and sent to internment camps in remote areas, stripped of their homes, businesses, and civil liberties. This dark chapter in American history left a lasting impact on the Japanese American community. Racial tensions also erupted within the city, culminating in the infamous Zoot Suit riots of June 1943. U.S. servicemen stationed in Los Angeles clashed with young Mexican-American men who wore distinctive zoot suits, baggy trousers and long, draped coats. Viewing the flamboyant style as unpatriotic, sailors and other military personnel targeted Latino youths, attacking them in the streets, stripping them of their clothing, and brutally beating them. The violence soon spread to include Filipino and African American residents. Although no fatalities were reported in Los Angeles, the riots exposed deep racial divisions that extended far beyond the city. Despite these tensions, the war drove a new wave of migration to Los Angeles. The demand for workers in aircraft factories and shipyards attracted thousands of newcomers from across the United States. Many servicemen who passed through Los Angeles on their way to the Pacific theater of war later returned to settle in the area. This post-war migration fueled an unprecedented housing boom, with developers rapidly constructing new suburban communities. One of the most ambitious projects was the creation of Lakewood, a planned community near Long Beach. Built on former bean fields, Lakewood saw the construction of 23,000 tract homes in just 3 years, symbolizing the explosive post-war growth of Los Angeles. By the early 1950s, Los Angeles had firmly established itself as a major metropolis. The city's economy was thriving, bolstered by its role in defense manufacturing, entertainment, and technological innovation. Yet, the social and political challenges of wartime and post-war Los Angeles left lasting legacies, shaping the city's trajectory for decades to come. The contemporary city, Los Angeles in the modern era. As Los Angeles marked its bicentennial in 1981, the British periodical The Economist declared, "Los Angeles has, it seems, at last become a place to take seriously." The statement reflected a profound transformation that had taken place over the decades. The city's towering skyline, extensive freeway system, globally renowned tourist attractions, thriving film industry, world-class universities, and vibrant cultural institutions had solidified its place among the great metropolises of the world. No longer merely an entertainment capital, Los Angeles had evolved into a dynamic, multifaceted urban powerhouse. By the 1980s, its population had grown so extensively in size and diversity that it ranked second only to New York City in the United States. The city's highly successful hosting of the 1984 Summer Olympic Games reinforced its global prestige, proving its capability to organize and execute an international event of immense scale. Challenges of urban expansion. However, as with all great cities, growth brought significant challenges. The very factors that had made Los Angeles an emblem of modern success also exacerbated deep-seated issues endemic to American urban life. Traffic congestion, gang violence, increasing poverty, inadequate low-income housing, and overcrowded schools plagued many of its communities. Racial and ethnic tensions, which had simmered beneath the surface for decades, periodically erupted into violence. The 1965 Watts riots were a stark reminder that the city could no longer view itself solely as a land of sunshine, tourism, and boundless opportunity. Similarly, the 1992 Los Angeles riots, which erupted following the acquittal of police officers involved in the beating of African-American motorist Rodney King, revealed the continued racial and economic disparities that had long been ignored. The devastation from these events forced the city and its leaders to confront the realities of inequality and social justice head-on. Air pollution, particularly smog, reached record levels in the latter half of the 20th century, earning Los Angeles a reputation for poor air quality. This environmental crisis, coupled with ongoing urban sprawl, prompted efforts to combat pollution and implement sustainable urban planning strategies. A city committed to change. Despite these obstacles, Los Angeles saw numerous victories led by civic-minded individuals, environmental activists, and community organizations striving to shape a better future. Grassroots efforts to protect the city's natural environment gained momentum. Initiatives to reduce stormwater contamination led to improved beach quality and healthier marine ecosystems. Conservationists pushed for the restoration of green spaces, culminating in the establishment of the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area in 1978 and the preservation of sections of the Ballona wetlands near Marina del Rey. The idea of greening the Los Angeles River, once an unthinkable notion, gained traction, with portions of its concrete channels being converted back into wetlands, parks, and community spaces. Activists successfully blocked the construction of a high-tech waste incinerator near downtown, pushing instead for one of the most ambitious curbside recycling programs in the nation. The city launched extensive tree planting initiatives, transforming public spaces into verdant landscapes aimed at improving air quality and urban aesthetics. Historic preservation efforts saved the treasured Central Library from demolition, paving the way for broader protections of cultural landmarks. Entering the 21st century. By the dawn of the 21st century, Los Angeles was a city undergoing rapid transformation. Its once smog-choked skyline had begun to clear due to stringent regulations on vehicle emissions and industrial pollutants. The aging yet iconic City Hall underwent a major restoration, incorporating earthquake retrofitting to withstand future tremors. Grand Avenue, long a cultural hub, experienced a renaissance, highlighted by the completion of the Walt Disney Concert Hall in 2003, designed by renowned architect Frank Gehry. The Music Center, home to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, expanded its cultural offerings with resident opera and ballet companies. Religious and civic architecture also experienced significant revitalization. In 2002, the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels, designed by Spanish architect José Rafael Moneo, opened its doors, providing a modern spiritual center for the city's diverse Catholic community. Meanwhile, Chinatown saw the development of Los Angeles State Historic Park, reclaiming a former rail yard as a public space dedicated to history and recreation. Infrastructure improvements played a crucial role in shaping the contemporary city. The modernization of the Alameda Transportation Corridor, a 20-mile, 30 kilometers, network connecting the harbor to downtown, facilitated the movement of goods and injected billions into the local economy. The Port of Los Angeles, already the busiest in the nation, expanded its cargo handling capabilities, reinforcing the city's position as a global trade leader. Los Angeles today. The Los Angeles of today is a city that continues to evolve, balancing its past with its future. As a global cultural and economic powerhouse, it remains a beacon for dreamers and entrepreneurs alike. While it still faces many of the challenges that have long defined urban life, its efforts to build a more sustainable, inclusive, and forward-thinking metropolis demonstrate its enduring resilience. From its booming tech industry in Silicon Beach to the reinvention of its transportation network with new metro lines and bike-friendly initiatives, Los Angeles stands as a testament to innovation and reinvention. The story of Los Angeles is one of ambition, adversity, and perseverance. As it continues to navigate the complexities of the modern world, it remains a city that, despite its many transformations, never ceases to inspire. From a small settlement of just 44 people to a global powerhouse of 10 million, Los Angeles has always been a city of dreamers. Its history is a reminder that even the wildest visions, like a movie studio in the desert or a railroad to the Pacific, can become reality. So, what's your favorite chapter in LA's story? Was it the birth of Hollywood? The Spanish missions? Let us know in the comments.